Welcome to round number 5 here of our Autumn League Cup finale tournament here at Second Third Place in Pico Rivera, California. I am Jesus Coronel once again. We have our opponents, we have our teammates, we have Tyler Deacy, we have Hayley Aldworth. And this is another weird undefeated versus somebody's been defeated matchup, as Tyler is currently 4-0 with the team of Armor Rouge Initi, Ursa Luna, Abomasnow, Dragapult, and Sneasler, while Hayley is on Dondozo, Tatsugiri, Curly Form, Tyranitar, Glimora, Garchomp, and Klefki. And now Tyler, they're trying to make waves here into this tournament at 4-0 with what looks to be Brandon Davis's Trick Room team, while Hayley, she really has been doing so well with Dondozo. You know, at one point she was a finalist this year at Cycle Turtle Place. I've been hearing she's been performing really well with Dondozo throughout this entire regulation, and it's still continuing to show here. But in a matchup like this, where you need to be wary of the Dondozo, how do you really deal with it? Because, like, it's a lot of damage that you have to do to Dondozo once you go into Commander mode, which is already a lot to ask for. And at the exact same time, there's like a whole lot of special damage that Tyler can throw out, and they can just handle her Dondozo pretty comfortably once you get stuff like the Armor Rouge, Abomasnow in position, or get Ursa Luna into a position where you can go ahead and clip Facade with the Guts boost, and just not worry about all the boosts that Dondozo was able to carry throughout the entire game. But that's just one goal in mind. The goal in mind for Hayley, she's going to go ahead and lead with the Klefki and the Glimora, while Tyler is going to lead Sneasler and Ursa Luna. And here's the interesting thing about this turn, because, well, there's no threat of Trick Room immediately, but that is an interesting thing that Hayley can do. She can click Misty Terrain with the Prankster boost, which puts down a mystical aroma around the entire battlefield, where Dire Claw can no longer status. Poison Spikes get set up because of the physical damage that Glimora took from Toxic Debris. Earth Power launches into the Sneasler and knocks it out in a single hit with a critical hit, unfortunately. But this also means the Ursa Luna cannot get burned by its own Flame Warp because of the Misty Terrain it's touching. Headlong Rush, though, will knock out Klefki in a single hit, but I think Hayley's happy taking that trade. And for both Pokemon that are being brought in their places, it's going to be the Armor Rouge and Dondozo from Tyler and Hayley each. So Hayley definitely does have an endgame goal in mind with the Dondozo, and it's going to be activated immediately with the Glimora switch out into the Tatsugiri, which will activate Commander and give Dondozo all of the boosts to give it a hefty raid boss battle for Tyler to deal with, especially with an Armor Rouge that cannot be poisoned because of that Misty Terrain. If anyone's wondering about that question. And here comes a Terastallization as well, I believe from Tyler's end. And they're going to go ahead and Terastallize that Armor Rouge into that Grass typing to make sure Wave Crash is not super effective against that Fire type anymore. And now that it did that, it should be able to withstand Dondozo's attacks, especially if it's an Earthquake as well, which is not going to hurt Armor Rouge as bad as it would have anymore, but Ursa Luna is going to take it pretty decently. Headlong Rush, unfortunately, could not find Glimora, as Tatsugiri's inside Dondozo now, therefore you cannot get hit, but Trick Room gets set up. Meaning the Armor Rouge is able to launch Expanding Force, but the problem is that because there was no Initi in the back, it just means that you need to be able to find a way to position. Yeah, you gotta get Ursa Luna out of here. As long as Misty Terrain's up, you cannot get burned. And in comes Abomasnow, which not only gives it a snow boost, but is a pretty reliable answer to Dondozo, which is Leaf Storm, because of the fact that Dondozo is unaware of status drops. This Leaf Storm's always going to hit at +2 special defense because of the command boost that it got. Armor is clicking Protect as Dondozo clicks Earthquake. And with the Snow Boost as well, from the Abomasnow, yeah, you're not taking a whole lot of damage with that Earthquake, and now you're in position to just click Expanding Force plus Leaf Storm, or potentially Aurora Veil as well. Or you just click Armor Cannon to cover for a Terrestrialization, but that doesn't happen either because of the Protect that came out from Hayley. And now, I still think it's the same thing you can do. Like, yeah, you Armor Cannon in front of Dondozo, but that's only really because it was the fact that they could go for a Terrestrialization here. Leaf Storm does a pretty hefty chunk to the Dondozo at +2 special defense. Here's Order Up onto the Armor Rouge, not doing a lot initially, but it will get an attack boost as well. So here comes an Expanding Force, not going to cover the fact that it could tear it. And now Dondozo's in range of a second Leaf Storm, but the factor going in here is the leftovers. You can't just click leftovers Protect, and now Leaf Storm's not in range. And I believe it's also 2 turns left the Trick Room as the Misty Terrain now dissipates. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you pretty much know Hayley's game plan with the Dondozo to withstand hits and then get back to HP with the leftovers and Protect combination. And then, because you're so bulky as you are going to find in a situation where Tatsugiri gets out of the clutches of Dondozo's mouth without really much loss, because the aim for Tatsugiri in this scenario is to make sure it gets out without taking any damage, as Trick Room does run out this turn. So Dondozo has a free turn to go for another Order Up onto the Armor Rouge. Maybe it KOs. I think it doesn't, though. And we're going to find out here. Does it? It does actually get the knockout on the Armor Rouge. So Trick Room is no longer an option from Tyler. They need to brute force their way past the Dondozo. I'm not sure they can unless, of course, this Leaf Storm critical hits. But is instead a Blizzard, which probably won't be doing much of the Dondozo unless it freezes here, and it does not happen. Snow's gone as well, meaning the full barrage of Order Up will hit the Abomasnow without any defense boosts. First, Luna going to come in here now for Tyler, and I still think the scenario remains the same. Oh, that's actually pivotal that the Poison Spikes came in first before the burn. So even though it will boost... Hold on. Okay, well, Dondozo protects here. I'm pretty sure the boost of Poison is the same as the Guts boost, but I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about that. Where even if the Socket's boosted, it's not Guts boosted. Yeah, the Poison does give it a boost. Actually, I just had a fact check. And so, the only bad thing is that Ursaluna's going to take a lot more damage than it would have liked. And it's pretty much the same scenario, even though you could just go for another Leaf Storm onto this Dondozo. You're not going to get enough damage in time, and eventually you're going to run into a situation where Hayley could just ignore the Ursaluna, and that goes another KO from this Dondozo into the Abomasnow. Now it is a force 4 attack. And now I don't see a route where Ursaluna could just win this game on its own, because there's still a Gamora in the back, which I think is still holding a Focus Sash. Yeah, it's holding a Focus Sash. It hasn't taken a bit of damage at all. And yeah, Tyler's going to run. Hayley's going to win game number 1 very convincingly with that Dondozo. And with that being said, I definitely think Tyler might have made a mistake by not bringing Needy towards that game number 1, because I think a big part of what made this team successful for Brandon was that Psychic Terrain was giving you the necessary boost to your expanding force, it gave you your protection against priority, even though it doesn't look like well, actually, no, Klefki was the problem here, because Klefki can override terrain, meaning expanding force doesn't get a power boost nor spread damage. But the only thing that could really get gained here was Sneasler's Unburden, which I think we saw it didn't really do a whole lot, because it was left going for a Dire Claw onto the Lemore, which I now realize had its focus hash broken, so that's my apologies. But it also means that Tyler doesn't really have a clear path to clear the terrain, unless, of course, the Klefki goes down in a single turn. And, like, if you could get Klefki out of the way, that means you could get Psychic Terrain without much of a disruption, but you also have to keep in mind the Klefki's scared of waiting, indeed, so maybe Tyler needs to have a game plan to where you knock out the Klefki immediately, and then you just have to worry about the terrain later, as Hayley doesn't see any way to change her plan, which is to lead the same lead as Game 1, being the Klefki and Lemora. Tyler, they're going to see a different path with Indeedee and Armor Rouge as the lead. And so, although it isn't Breeze Free's turn to go for a Trick Room, the problem is just that Lemora can click either Mortal Spin or Earth Power into the Armor Rouge. Well, if you Mortal Spin, you definitely get chip damage later on towards the turn, but if you click Earth Power into the Armor Rouge, then that's a lot of damage that you're going to be taking here. Light Screen gets set up on this Klefki to give Hayley's side of the field a special defense boost for an incoming 8 turns because Klefki's holding that Light Clay item. Mortal Spin, going to go ahead and connect onto the Indeedee and give it a poison status. So it's going to start taking damage over time, but it gets hurt by a Rocky Helmet that it was holding. Trick Room gets set up. And now, even though you are able to launch Expanding Force, the problem is still going to be that Misty Terrain that Klefki is carrying in its moveset. So, I think a sensible move for Tyler to do is focus down Klefki with an Armor Cannon. And Hayley is going to go ahead and tear. I think it's the tear to the Klefki to get it out of the weakness. No, it's Lemora. It's going to Terrestrial Slice into that Grass type to make sure it's no longer weak to Psychic. And Indeedee is just going to quick follow me here to make sure that Earth Power doesn't go Armor Rouge's direction, but Foul Play comes out, and into the Indeedee it goes, not doing a whole lot of damage. It is going to take a bit more Rocky Helmet chip. Armor Rouge launches Armor Cannon into the Klefki, so it's going to go down. Yes, it will. I'm a little curious to see if Klefki would have survived it would turn out of the Steel type, which, by the way, it is not a Steel Terra, it is a Fairy Terra, so it could have potentially survived if it could have teared out of the weakness, but instead, Lemora finds it more useful to get the poison on the Armor Rouge with the Mortal Spin, but it is going to take more Rocky Helmet damage. And once again, we see in the back is Dondozo for Hayley's side. She kind of is in the perfect position, you know, to switch out the Lemora for the Dondozo. I mean, for the Tatsugiri. And then start chipping away at the rest of Tyler's Pokemon, because the way that Hayley set up this board is that, well, you have a light screen up, so you're going to be taking a whole lot less damage if you're going to go into the Commander mode with Tatsugiri. And you can start just launching order-ups onto all of Tyler's Pokemon since they're so weak, and it just gives you enough advantage later on over the time. And Indeedee is just going to launch a Helping Hand on this Armor Rouge. I think this is Expanding Force coming out, and it's going to be an Earthquake onto the Lemora and to the Indeedee. There was purpose to that play, which is to set Toxic Spikes onto Tyler's side of the field, but I think this might be a bad decision because Expanding Force with the Helping Hand boost and the Life Orb does not knock out Dondozo. I forgot that the Light Screen was still up, so even though Lemora faints his turn, Dondozo is able to survive, and now trouble awaits Tyler as they had to deal with poison for the rest of the game, And now, potentially, Dandozo Tatsugiri with a light screen still up. And there you go, there is the Tatsugiri coming in here from Hayley, and here comes the Commander Boost. Gonna double all of Tatsugiri's stats except for that speed and that accuracy. But that might not mean a whole lot if Dandozo is able to survive the rest of the Psychic Terrain, because I believe there's only one more turn of Psychic Terrain left, which we're not being able to see, unfortunately, because of an unfortunate cover, but the only thing that Hayley can do really is protect in front of this Dandozo. I mean, in front of the armor boost, which is going to get another helping hand boost from this Indeedee, and yet there is a protect to make sure that Expanding Force doesn't do damage at all. And this should be the last turn of both Terrain and Trick Room, and if that's the case, Hayley's gotten into the clear where she can just go for order ups, knock out the Indeedee with the poison, and now there's no way to get Terrain back. And unless there's a Sneasler in the back, that Toxic Spike is going to remain for the rest of the battle. Armor is going to get lower as well, so now it's in range of an order up. No, there's still a Terrain turn, and there is still a Trick Room turn. So now that that's the case, Abomasnow kind of has to launch a Leaf Storm here in order to get a knockout chance onto the Dandozo, because that's the only way you really win the game, where if you can knock out the Dandozo before you can launch Expanding Force, you're in the clear. But if you can't do that, then Tatsugiri is going to be summoned out of Trick Room. Armor is still taking poison damage. Okay, well, it takes a Leaf Storm, so that might be what's going to happen this turn as the Abomasnow special attacks stop 2 stages. Armorus doesn't even get a chance to attack, unfortunately, as it will go down to an order up. Trick Room's going to run out, so is the Terrain. And now it comes down to what Tyler has in the bag. There's 2 Pokemon left for each side. One's very healthy, the other one's taking poison damage over time. Dandozo was able to take a Leaf Storm comfortably that time around. Now Abomasnow has to timer on itself. And that last Pokemon is Sneasler, so unfortunately it won't get a special defense boost with the Psychic Seed that it's holding, but it will clear away the Toxic Spike, so Sneasler doesn't have to worry about being poisoned itself. But now you have to play the Dire Claw game, because I don't think you have anything better here, as Dandozo protects once again to get more HP recovery. And both Dire Claw and the Blizzard get blanked out by the Dandozo's Protect, and now we're in a scenario in which this Dandozo can take one attack from this Sneasler. It won't take a double up though, so Abomasnow is going to have to finish the job for this Sneasler on Tyler's side, because Dire Claw, as we're going to see, not going to knock out the Dandozo. It gets to sleep, but I think that's too little too late. And I don't think it'll matter in the long run, because even though Dandozo will take the first turn of sleep here, the Abomasnow should just be able to knock out the Dandozo, but instead it just goes for a Blizzard, so it's not going to knock it out. But that's just another turn stalled, essentially, because yes, you can KO the Dandozo now with Dire Claw, but you're still going to take more damage. You're going to lose more in snow turns. I believe there's only 1 or 2 turns left of snow. Okay, there's 2 turns left of snow. So, the more that Hayley's able to stall out the weather, the better. Because Dandozo, does not get the Protect there on the Wake Up, unfortunately. And Dire Claw is going to connect and KO Dandozo. So Tatsugiri is going to come out of the mouth. And it all hinges down on Tatsugiri now for Hayley. Blizzard comes out once again for this Abomasnow at -2 special attack. That's not a lot of damage to the Tatsugiri. Abomasnow nears half HP with poison. And now this light screen's also gone from Tatsugiri, so that might have been another important factor. But I think now it's time to click Muddy Water if your Tatsugiri does double connect to both Pokemon, doesn't take the Sneasler down to half. It's an accuracy drop onto the Abolisto. We don't see one on the Sneasler. It gets a Dire Claw off and knocks out the Tatsugiri, and we got a game 3! As Tyler wins game number 2. And game 3 now being forced is a peculiar position here for both these trainers. As I think I anticipated, we are going to be here for a long battle, and I don't think there's like very little remarks I can make towards that battle, because truly, what went wrong there for Hayley? I think, unfortunately, what went wrong was the Dire Claw sleep, if I had to be honest, because as little as I thought it impacted the game, it actually impacted Hayley's ability to withstand the Abolisto in the snow, because, well, Sneasler ended up being a problem in the end game, because you were able to get out of Trickery, you were able to chip down the Dondozo low enough to where you're able to knock it out with Dire Claw at the end of the game, and because of that, you're able to make sure the Dondozo's damage output isn't like that meaningful at the end of the game. And then also, Glenmora kind of just tried to poison everything, but it wasn't able to do everything it was able to do in time. And here comes a switch up from Hayley. It's Dondozo Tyranitar as the lead, while Tyler reads it somewhat with the Sneasler in the needy lead, meaning the Tyranitar is not safe immediately from the close combat. Dondozo, I could see a world where Tatsugiri switches in immediately and either make Commander, but who knows if that's the play in the turn 1 when Dire Claw can just ruin your day. And we do see the Tyranitar switch out from Hayley. I believe this might be the Tatsugiri coming in here. Yeah, it is. It's just going to activate Commander from the get-go, so not a bad play from Hayley, turn 1. So we're going Commander here, meaning Earthquake should be coming out from this Dondozo to knock out the Sneasler in a hit, which, frankly, I think it should be able to do here, barring a Terra Dark from the Sneasler here, which is its Terra type. Yeah, and here comes the Terra from Tyler. It is, oh, not Terra Dark on the Sneasler, it says Terra Fairy to make sure Order Up is immune. Okay, well, that's an even safer way to realize there. It is the Protect onto the Sneasler, so Earthquake does come out from Dondozo. And that means Indeedee takes it pretty well. Oh, that is actually a pretty important Alluring Voice here, because Alluring Voice, for those of you that don't know, if the Pokemon it hits has a stat change, it becomes confused immediately. So now Hayley's rolling the dice with confusion. And Tatsugiri is going to start taking some damage as well from the Sandstorm. And Sneasler is going to start... Well, we now see the Sneasler is faster than the Dondozo, so that probably signals that the Dondozo is pretty trained to be bulky. These are going to go ahead and retreat to get itself out of the way of Earthquake, and the Abomasnow comes in to reset the sand into snow, so no more chip damage for the side of Hayley to get benefit from. Dondozo's confused. It gets the Earthquake off, and it will hit both the Indeedee and the Abomasnow. Abomasnow's going to take it pretty well. Indeedee hangs on by a thread and gets up Trick Room. So now Tyler can start launching things like a Leaf Storm onto the Dondozo and not really have to worry about dealing with the rest of Hayley's team, although you do notice a Tyranitar in the back ready to get the Sandstorm back up. But okay, well, not gonna get a lot of time to think about that one as Indeedee switches out, and in comes the last Pokemon from Tyler's side for game number 3. It's Armarouge, which is going to hopefully withstand Dondozo's attacks, as it's still confused. Does it attack? No, it does not! It's going to take a bit of Sandstorm damage. I mean, confusion damage, excuse me. Leaf Storm goes into the Dondozo, gets it under half HP. And that means the Dondozo's pretty much forced to protect in this turn in order to at least keep up with tempo. Dondozo is still confused they're all up, and it still gets to protect off, thankfully, from Hayley's side. So, unfortunately for Tyler, not going to get a lot of leverage in this turn. Leaf Storm going to get blanked by the protect. And then Armor Rouge probably went for an expanding force here. No, it goes for Armor Cannon to cover for Terra Grass, which also did not happen. And there's more leftover recovery coming in from Hayley's side, and with that, I think there's a position in which Hayley can just go ahead and launch another Earthquake onto the Armor Rouge and just try to get it out of the way because, well, Armor Rouge is the bigger concern here. Oh, Leaf Storm, not quite enough to knock out the Dondozo there for Tyler as Dondozo is still confused. Is it able to get the Earthquake off? It is able to get the Earthquake off, so it is going to deal a lot of damage to this Armor Rouge. Is it a knockout? It is not a knockout. It survives on 7 HP, meaning Expanding Force knocks out the Dondozo. And that's probably a bad thing for Hayley because Tatsugiri now exits the mouth. It has a choice card, meaning it's going to be the slowest thing in play. But thankfully for Hayley, the Abomasnow is at -4 special attack, and the Life Orb knocked out the Armor Rouge, and the Psychic Terrain also goes away. And also, I just realized, you see this on the screen, it is not an Unburdened Sneasler, it's a Poison Touch Sneasler, so it was getting a special defense boost for its own benefit, and to make sure that it doesn't really cripple itself in Trick Room. And here comes Tyranitar to reset the snow into the sand, and Sneasler comes in with potential, with one zero left, the Trick Room left on the field. And so, you know the Tatsugiri is fastest in play when it's going to be the last thing to move in this Trick Room. This Tyranitar has all the potential to go for Terra Flying Terra Blast onto the Sneasler and knock it out, because that is the Terra type that Hayley's Tyranitar is carrying, and she has Terra Blast on that moveset. Meaning, not only means that's safe, but it also means that because of the Abomasnow being a -4 special attack, I don't think you're really worried about taking a Blizzard knockout, because you're not going to get knocked out by Blizzard anytime soon. So, it's precarious in a way that Tyler's forced to switch out the Abomasnow here just to make sure that the damage is minimal. No, that's not minimal. That the damage is manageable. Now that it's back at neutral, instead of being at -4 from those Leaf Storm drops that it took away, Tatsugiri also going to switch out to make sure that it doesn't really get threatened immediately off the bat. Glimmora is Hayley's last Pokemon for game number 3. And there is Terra Flying coming up from Tyranitar. Does this signal a Terra Blast from the Tyranitar into the Sneasler Tyler? Trying to see what happens here. Tyranitar does launch Terra Blast, and if it goes to the Sneasler, it is a knockout because it is weak to fighting. Tyler is down to just Indeedee and Abomasnow against Hayley's Tatsugiri, Glimmora, and a Tyranitar. Trick Room also runs out, so already, even though the weather's going to get overridden by Abomasnow, I think Glimmora is safe to launch Mortal Spin, and Tyranitar switches out into the Tatsugiri to reset sand to make sure Blizzard's not 100% accurate anymore, and it gets rid of the snow defense boost, and it knocks out the Indeedee in that turn too. I see a way, yeah, that's probably the way Hayley has to win this game, which is Mortal Spin plus a switch out. Instead, Abomasnow doesn't switch, Tyranitar doesn't switch out here, so it's probably the signal that's faster. Sludge Bomb comes out, knocks out Indeedee, so now it just rests on this Tyranitar for Hayley to try to get some damage onto this Abomasnow, and Abomasnow is Tyler's last hope to win round number 5, as Blizzard is faster than the Tyranitar. It doesn't take a whole lot of damage, even though it is super effective on the Assault Vest. No freeze comes out. Here's the Terra Blast flying onto the and the Abomasnow. With the Snow Boost, it's not enough! And Hayley Aldworth is gonna win round number 5 with a 2-1 win, and that's gonna move her to 5-0 in the tournament. What a performance, and what a way to get it done. I mean, I know a lot of people hate Dondozo, but it's a specialty here for some trainers, and you love her or hate her, she can always play Dondozo to the best of her abilities and to make sure to be successful while she's at it. And with that, she moves to 5-0, and Tyler moves into a win-win situation at a 3-2 record. Who will survive, and who will advance? We'll find out with round number 6 after this break.